The FBI believes Hoffa was murdered by mobsters, but who was the triggerman?
For 50 years, the world asked one question: what happened to Jimmy Hoffa?
What happened to Jimmy Hoffa?
What happened with Jimmy Hoffa?
Now, in 2025, scientists have finally solved the mystery, and it's far worse than anyone imagined.
So you're saying your father buried Jimmy Hoffa?
Yes.
A chilling discovery beneath a New Jersey highway has shaken the country, and even Jesse Waters called it the most disturbing revelation in modern crime history. This wasn't solved by the FBI or a mobster's confession. It was science and a witness who waited 5 decades to speak. What they uncovered has rewritten history and exposed how close we came to losing the truth forever. The Jimmy Hoffa mystery is no longer unsolved. The day Jimmy Hoffa vanished. On July 30th, 1975, Jimmy Hoffa left his house in Bloomfield Township, Michigan, around 1:15 p.m., wearing a dark suit and his usual no-nonsense expression. He was headed to the Machus Red Fox restaurant in Bloomfield Hills, a suburban steakhouse just north of Detroit. The meeting was supposed to be with 2 men he knew well, Anthony Tony Jack Giacalone and Anthony Tony Pro Provenzano, both of them deeply rooted in the Teamsters and tangled in the mob. Hoffa told his wife he'd be back by dinner. He never came home. That was the last confirmed sighting of the most powerful labor leader America had ever seen. One moment he was sitting in a parking lot near the restaurant, possibly waiting or already confronting someone, and the next, he was gone. No body, no confirmed crime scene, no final words. Just a running car, a pair of glasses left behind, and silence. To understand why his disappearance sparked such chaos, you have to understand who Hoffa really was. He wasn't just the president of the Teamsters. He was the man who turned the union into an empire. Hoffa commanded power through a mix of working-class loyalty and criminal intimidation. He negotiated with presidents and mafia bosses alike. For years, he was the connection between American industry and the underworld, and everyone knew it. But knowing and proving are 2 very different things. In 1967, Hoffa was sentenced to 13 years in prison for jury tampering, fraud, and bribery. But in 1971, President Richard Nixon commuted his sentence under the condition that he not engage in union activity until 1980. Hoffa, of course, ignored that. By 1975, he was attempting a comeback, making calls, arranging meetings, trying to claw his way back to power. And that made people nervous. Very powerful people who had everything to lose if Hoffa returned. The timeline of his last day is as precise as it is eerie. He arrived at the Red Fox shortly before 2 p.m. By 2:15, he was reportedly pacing the parking lot, frustrated. By 2:45, witnesses say he was gone. His car, a green 1974 Pontiac Granville, was found still parked the next morning. Inside were his personal belongings, untouched. No sign of a struggle, no blood, no note. Just an open mystery that seemed to get darker with every passing year. The FBI launched what would become one of the longest-running and most expensive investigations in its history. They chased tips from New Jersey to Florida, dug up fields, drained lakes, and surveilled mobsters. But no one ever stood trial, and no physical evidence was ever recovered. Not a single bone. As the years passed, theories piled up like gravel on an unmarked grave. Some believed he was incinerated in a mob-connected crematorium. Others claimed he was buried in the foundation of a Detroit stadium. A few said he was fed to pigs. There were even whispers of government involvement, that maybe Hoffa knew too much and trusted too many people on both sides of the law. But for all the noise, one fact remained constant. No one could prove what happened. It became a cold case so legendary, it took on a life of its own. Generations grew up hearing about Hoffa's fate as urban myth, the ultimate American riddle. And with every year that passed, the possibility of answers faded a little more. Until now. Because in 2025, a single witness finally came forward. And what he claimed to have seen 50 years ago, at the exact time, in the exact place, was something no one ever expected. The FBI's dead ends and dirt roads. In the years following Jimmy Hoffa's disappearance, the FBI operated like a machine with no brakes. They launched what they called Operation